All righty, here we are at the Crystal Clear Point Studio. Luann Morrison, Deborah Colleen Rose. Crystal Teague is on hiatus because she's high. No, that's not true.
She is not.
She's not high. She's
on
tired.
she's on remote assignments.
No, she's not. I mean, if you're going to make me tell the truth, you're going to tell the truth too. Hello. If we're going to live in reality, we're going to live in real reality, just not something that one of us got to make up. So anyway, she's taking a break today. Sometimes we all need a mental health break, a physical break, just a break in the routine. So we wish her well, and we hope she gets lots of rest, and we will see her next week. So what are we talking about today?
Well, somebody suggested that we discuss holidays.
What about holidays, Luann?
And are we obligated to spend time with our families on holidays, or is this something we should be doing regardless of holidays? Isn't that what you said?
Yeah, that's part of it, because it's really kind of more complicated than that. The more I thought about it this morning while I was at the doctor's office, is that so? Are we obligated? Do you need to make the effort if you're not in a good mood because you love your family? Is this the only time your family gets together on holidays? And do you do it because you really enjoy their company, or because it makes you feel better that maybe you look like a normal family when you're not? And how much time do you put in being together when it's not a holiday? What is your goal in being together as a family? What do you achieve? So it's really a complex situation. It's not an either or. I remember when I was growing up, that we had certain parts of our family that we didn't see except on like Thanksgiving. And this is probably why I don't like Thanksgiving, because there was a fight almost every Thanksgiving of some sort. And the family would break up into three groups: their group, and we're staying the hell out of it group. And for some reason or another, the kids were always stuck in the middle and got the brunt of it, because one person that they loved would be in this group, and one person that they loved would be in this group, and one person that they loved or at least tolerated was in this group. And whose side do you go to? Because everybody else was picking sides. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, the rule, the unspoken rule is, we had sometimes 25 people around the table.
Mm-hmm.
So the unspoken rule was, we were at my grandmother's, and if you had a disagreement, you didn't bring it.
Well, that's a good rule. I like that rule.
She would take you aside and say, this is a holiday. We're all here as a family, and we're not going to discuss that today.
Yeah, no politics, no religion. So I don't even remember what my family talked about. It was usually somebody looked at somebody out of the side of their eye and they didn't like their attitude, was what my family thought about. We weren't smart enough when I was growing up to talk about politics or religion, to fight about it. And I can remember not the details, but what I remember is that my mother and my aunt, which was my brother's sister, got into a fight. Okay. And my mother wanted to go home. So my dad took her home. And then we all, him and me, and if I had my brothers then, I may have been younger enough that the brothers weren't born yet, but if they were, we all went back to my grandmother's without my mother. And she was furious over that. And I don't know what words they might have shared over that situation or whatever, but I do know that laid an attitude in their marriage that prevailed until they divorced. So,
well, yeah, I can see that.
And my thing is, and I see this in Scott's family, that there's a core group that used to get together often, but then the bigger group would only get together on the holidays. And I'm kind of like that, like I'm about church. If you can't go to church on other days other than Easter and Christmas, don't bother, is my thoughts. If that's what you do and you're happy, I don't care. But for me, that doesn't work. And it's the same with family. If I'm only going to see you at Thanksgiving and Easter and Christmas, I'm done. I'm not bothering anymore.
Well, a lot of us did not live near, my mother's sisters lived in Albuquerque, New Mexico,
Oh,
and they had 4+ children apiece, and it was just hard for us all to get together, except for one holiday a year, and we chose Thanksgiving.
well, that makes sense because you have outside circumstances. But
Mhm.
when you live 10 minutes away, which is the way it
Yeah,
was.
that's different. That's different. I lived 10 minutes, 5 minutes from my grandparents, and I was there almost every day.
Yeah, see, and here's another thing that I never understood, even as a little girl. So I had both sets of grandparents close to me when I was growing up in Texarkana. And I would be at one set of grandparents for whatever, and then I'd be at another set of grandparents for whatever. And I don't remember ever seeing them in the same building ever, except for when I got baptized in church. And growing up, I'm thinking, we're all so close. We all live so close together. Why is it so hard to maybe get everybody together to share a meal? Because Scarlett's my granddaughter, her other grandmother and I, we take trips together and take her. Not often, but usually once a year. And we meet and have lunch, the three of us, and do things together, our girl thing and stuff, to give her a more unified family experience.
Right.
And I'm just wondering, well, why don't people do that? Why is that such a weird concept?
I don't know. I hardly ever see my oldest son, period.
You can
You
have
know,
mine. No, I love my son. I take that back.
and I know he's busy. He has a full-time job and he has a part-time job, and I just I saw his other grandmother post a picture of my grandson, and I'm like, wow, what happened? He changed.
Hmm. So he's grown since you've seen him, and you have to see it on Facebook.
Yep.
That's heartbreaking. I'm sorry. It is heartbreaking. It
Mhm.
is. I get that. So, um, and then
So
you
I,
have and then you have, how far do you push? How much do you
yeah.
reach out?
Well, I've stopped pushing at all because I know that there are some things that bother his wife, and I just let it go.
Yeah, but why does the woman in the marriage get to dictate who sees the kids? That's kind of a sexist attitude, don't you think?
Well, it is what it is.
Yeah, but we're talking about why is it? Why is
Well,
it
I
is
don't
it?
know because for the longest time, I thought it was because of my husband, but um, that it just continued after I left. So I don't know.
Well, and then I
You
kind
know,
of
I
I've
just
kind
don't
of
want
grown.
to. I don't want to upset the boat. I don't want to make anyone upset. I just take the burden and go.
Well, do you see him at all?
I'm probably going to see him tonight. They're going to take me out for Mother's Day.
Okay, so I can understand that because even if you don't see him but a little bit, you don't want to lose what little visitation that you have. So I
Hmm.
can understand not wanting to rock the boat, and then my big thing over the years is with my two kids has been they bring people into our family. This bugs the shit out of me. They bring people into our family. They've done it with their friends. They've done it with boyfriends and girlfriends. They've done it with spouses. And then you get to where you like their friends or their spouses, maybe even love them, and then they get rid of them. And I only have so much relationship I can do in my life, being an introvert. So it's not like I can sustain all of these relationships and keep seeing these people, even though they're not with my children anymore. So I've kind of gotten my heart broken a few times. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. Um, John's first relationship was like that. Okay, our
Yeah.
relationship is done. You don't need to see her anymore.
Yeah. Why? Why? You don't, first of all, none of my kids said that to me, thank God, because you know what? Probably would have dumped them and stayed with the other person. I don't like ultimatums. you know, and, and who I was earlier in my life, I would have done that. You aren't going to tell me, do I, God? I'll see who I'm, You know, in fact, that's why I married the first two husbands I had. By God, you're not going to tell me who I can marry. But um, but now I've got an entirely opposite experience I'm dealing with several in-laws and blended family things where I'm trying to have relationships, trying to have a blended family, trying to have group gatherings and that aren't just wrapped around holidays, and nobody's interested. They don't make the effort. And so I kind of drew a line in the sand and said, look, if you can't reach out to me and, you know, and as much as I hate texting, at least text me once in a while or pick up the phone and call me and say, hi, how you doing? Are you dead or whatever? Are you still dyeing your hair red? Whatever. Then don't expect to come to my house for Easter, Thanksgiving, or Christmas. I'm not doing it. Not doing it. You know, I'm not a holiday family person like that. We have to have a relationship.
Well, I
And
really love, I really used to love Thanksgiving because everyone would get together, we would eat, we would talk, we would laugh, and there's no obligation for like gifts at Christmas.
exactly.
And I loved that about Thanksgiving because I really felt like it was more of a we want to get together to visit. But
But
I don't know, it just fell apart.
well, even with the fighting, I liked Thanksgiving as a kid because I like listening to the adults gossip. And I was one of the kids that got to sit in the corner and listen to everybody talk.
Yeah.
So I got to hear a lot of the family gossip and history and things like that. So I enjoyed that. I like watching my grandmother cook, and she would talk to me while she cooked. And because a lot of times it was at her house. And so I realized when I got older, I knew how to cook just because I picked it up through osmosis, watching my grandmothers, both
Yeah.
of them. And then when we moved here, we didn't have any family. And I honestly believe that if it was, I don't know if it was grief that lasted a long time or if it was depression, but we didn't have any family here. So the holidays really sucked. It was just, you know, me, my brothers, and my mom and my stepdad. And we didn't see family a lot. But then when we got grown, my brothers started coming to my house for Thanksgiving. And then I would have friends over too. And it got to be more festive again, especially Thanksgiving. And then when he died, I just lost all interest in Thanksgiving. I was done. And I realized I'm just done with holidays and period, unless it has a spiritual meaning. If it's based upon family get-togethers alone, like Valentine's and Mother's Day and Father's Day and all those made-up holidays, you know, that bullshit stuff, I don't care. I really don't care. But if it's Easter or Christmas, that means something to me spiritually, and I'm happy and I'm celebrating my spiritual faith. So I want to share it with people that I love, and the rest of my family could care less. They don't care about that crap. So it's just a huge disconnect.
And that's happens, I think, more and more as we become more electronically connected instead of emotionally connected. I guess, I don't know. It just seems like that no matter how I react to some things that go on with my kids, that they either take it wrong or I grew up where you just went over, knocked on the door, hey, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
And they don't want me to do that.
Oh, you didn't even go to the front door. You went in the back door. We were back door people. You know, only strangers went to the front door. Otherwise, you went to the damn back door, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. It's I guess it's touchy with me.
Well, I think it's confusing.
Yeah.
Because we're at a place in our lives where we have seen a lot of changes and dynamics, social dynamics, family dynamics. Some of them are externally stimulated, some are internally stimulated. And to have things that are important to you, and you think you're instilling that into your children, that it's important to them as well, and it's not. And you said, at least I did. I went, okay, it's not that I went wrong, but what did I not do that my kids don't think that this is important? And like manners, certain things that I just think are just typical manners,
Yeah, I get
uh,
that.
and things like that. Why did I not instill that in them, or what, or did I? And they just said, fuck you, I'm not doing it. I mean, what, I mean, because I have two very stubborn, very headstrong children that I call them children. They're adults now, and they're both odd in their own ways. And, I'll go out on a limb and tell you, I just think my daughter's crazy, and I love her, but we can't get along. We just cannot get along. And I finally told her, I said, I obviously make you unhappy. You interacting with me makes you unhappy, and that breaks my heart. And I love you enough to let you go so that you can go find your peace, whatever it looks like, because dealing with me is like throwing gasoline on a fire. And I just don't want that for you. And she thinks I'm being mean now, but to me, this is the most loving thing I can do for her at this point, So,
Well, I think that may be where I was or I am, because I don't want to put undue stress on relationships between husbands and wives.
Yeah, but that's not really your responsibility. It's his or hers or both as a couple to say, you know what, this is what we don't want from you, and this is what we do want from you.
Well, they've said that we don't want you to come over here
unless you
call first.
Okay, so they gave you rules and guidelines.
Yeah, there was rules. Yeah, you're right.
So can you pick up the phone and call and make those arrangements, or do they always tell you no?
They don't always tell me no.
So the disconnect is that you just want to see them more, and they don't want to see you more because they have busy lives.
That's correct.
Got it.
They have busy lives, and because of that, I probably don't call as much. I probably don't say, are you at home? Can I come over?
Yeah, see, and I get that, but in my mind, I hate to text, but I allow my children to text me because it makes their lives easier. I'm going to just tell you, it just pisses me off to get texts from personal friends and relatives. I accept it in business. It's a typical business thing now, but I just don't want it from my personal relationships. But with that said, the least they can do is text me once a week and go, hey, Mom, are you still a bitch? We like you, whatever, something.
Yeah.
And let me know they're thinking about me.
My kids like to text. They prefer to be, well, not the oldest one prefers to be informed or contacted through text. I can't tell you why, I don't know. But at least
I've got a theory. You want to hear it?
Sure.
My theory is, and I don't think this is any different, I think it's just more obvious because of social media, and we have so much access to people. I mean, think of all the people that you know about and you can read about and you see things about them that you would go months and maybe years and never know anything about them because of social media. And I read, and I've got people I love to read, and I don't even know who the hell they are. But they're on my friends list. So, and I find them interesting. But the thing about it is that as human nature runs its course, I think that we all want to make sure that we have normal, average, happy, content lives, and we want to make sure other people think we do too. So I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. It's just like, all these people that say, oh, I have sex once a week. And you look at them and go, you're a liar. I can tell that you're lying, because there's too many men out there that have ED and they're taking blood thinners and high blood pressure. And I'm telling you right now, they can't have sex if they're taking a lot of those medications and they're over 50. Ain't happening. Okay. Quit lying. But we have bought into, this is average. You should have sex 2 to 4 times a month if you're over a certain age. You should get together and have happy family pictures in front of the fireplace or gathered around the lake fishing if you know on the holidays and summer vacations. And if you don't travel and take a Disney cruise or a Caribbean cruise once a year, well, you know, you're nobody, you know, those type of things. And I just think that probably about 60% of the population, we just don't give a shit about that. We really don't. We really, really don't.
It's a hard transition to live like we did as kids or young adults when we spend a lot of family time together. And then now you have to transition to we just want to spend time as a family. We'll contact you later.
Well, for years, when we moved here, we didn't see family unless we went back to Texarkana, and that got to be less and less because of I honestly don't know why. I don't know, but our social world as children, I can't speak for the adults, but for me and my brothers, our friends were our cousins. Our cousins were our friends. And I have a cousin that's 5 months younger than me, and we were like twins. We were together, we were inseparable. And of course, we also grew up sharing the same type of family atmosphere and experiences because
Right.
our fathers were brothers. So growing up without them, I just felt like my entire family had abandoned me. And so I lost interest in family activities and family things until I had my own children. So, man, I got this brilliant, bright idea. I'm going to recreate all that with my kids. Well, okay.
I get that because I think that that's what I tried to do, but because of my marriage to the person because of the person I was married to, and his family just kind of alienated my children.
Yeah.
And as they got older, I allowed them the freedom not to go because they were constantly being not told but shown that they were not a part of the family, and it hurt their feelings, and so I just let them go. And I tried to be
That makes sense.
the dutiful wife and go, and all it did was push a big huge wedge between me and my kids.
Well, you know, what's interesting about that too is, you know, psychologists and people will tell you that you should make your spouse your priority, or they used to say this, maybe they don't anymore.
Ugh.
And so based on that, you made the right decision because you were putting your spouse first. Because the idea is that your children grow up and leave you, and your spouse is forever. But more and more often now we're hearing that, okay, they put their spouse first, and then the spouse left, and the children are pissed off, and now you're kind of screwed because you ain't got nobody, you know.
Right. And that's the attitude I took. And I tried to tell them, you know, this is my partner. And when you grow up and leave home, we will still be together and want to be together.
Right.
Well, of course, you know, stuff happens. And so I think that's where the disconnect comes for holidays with them, because they didn't spend holidays with me, and I think they still think they don't need to.
Well, it's not a habit and it's not a tradition.
Right.
And those are two different things, but they work on the same brain waves.
Right.
You know, my situation is that we would have friends over for the holidays. And this is before I even married Scott. So it's something I started for myself after my first marriage. I would have friends over for the holidays. And then when the kids came, I would encourage them to invite any of their friends that didn't have a strong home environment to come. Well, that got pushed to the wayside as they got older, because I'm going to tell you right now, for like 5 years straight, if not longer, we had a medical crisis where one of the other of the children wound up being in the hospital during the Thanksgiving holidays. Wow. I mean, it was awful. It was awful. And anytime we would plan activities for a family, we would have a medical crisis. And Scott and I went for years without vacations, without having any typical traditional family get-togethers, because we were dealing with medical issues, and everyone knows I dealt with mental health issues in my family. So fill in the gaps, we don't have to go into all that today. But so again, habits and traditions didn't get firmly planted.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't
And
know.
now my son is with a partner. She doesn't care about holidays. She doesn't care about Christmas. She doesn't care about this. And it's an issue. And it's gotten to be a huge issue for me. A huge issue for me.
Well, I tried to celebrate with the kids when they were little. New Year's Eve, we did crazy things, and I would give them all a pot and a wooden spoon, and we would march down the sidewalk at midnight, shouting and banging our pots and pans, and then we walk back into the house, close the door, and turn out the lights.
I love that. That's cool.
And it was fun, but that was before husband.
I'm not going to tell you some of the crazy things we did at New Year's Eve, like shooting guns and stuff like that, because I would never do that.
Yeah, of course not.
We did do fireworks, though. We did do illegal fireworks and things of that nature. When we go out to the country and shoot them and things like that. And to this day, my son does love fireworks. So,
well, and I always had Easter bunny stuff at Easter.
mm-hmm.
Robert celebrated his birthday in January. John in the summertime, June 1st. And we always make sure that we did something for their birthdays. So I'm sorry, my allergies are getting to me today.
I know, babe. Well, for Joshua's birthdays, I did the dog for years, because I was a single mom a lot of those years and stuff. But one year we had pony rides delivered to his daycare. And one year we had Poppy the Clown. And one year we had a magician show. And I mean, anything that was available for children. And this is before people used to do big parties for kids. This is back in the 80s. All right.
Yeah.
We had a big to do every year. So my son's all about his birthday, but he's not so much about everybody else's birthday.
Well, I did birthdays for John was it called Chuck E. Cheese then?
Chuck E. Cheese. I love Chuck E. Cheese with the big rat.
But I mean, they would go all out for birthdays at this place. It was in Wichita Falls where he was born, and I think 2 or 3 years in a row, I had these big birthday parties for him. What's funny is, you show pictures and you talk about it, and John goes, "I don't remember that."
I know. Same with Josh. You're like, okay, why did I spend all that money? And I mean, it wasn't cheap, because we had to pay for cupcakes for like 100 kids, because the whole daycare, because we do it at daycare.
Yeah,
because the owners of the daycare were friends of mine. The man was my attorney. The woman that ran the daycare was my best friend. And when Marvin died, we lived with them for a year. And so they were, really great friends. So it's not like we got out cheap. Not at all. So it cracks me up. Nothing. Everybody talks about, well, Deborah's in control. Deborah likes to control everything. Deborah has never controlled anything in her damn life, because I'm going to tell you right now, if I did, none of this would be the way it is right now. It would be so different if I was in control. So, and I know I'm eating and drinking today, but I am hungry and my blood sugar's low. I've been running all day, so tough.
Hey,
and
I have my Coke.
And we're talking about our families and kids. We assume that nobody that we know watches this, so we just talk about whatever.
So we just talk about everything.
And if they watch it, too bad, because we're not saying anything that we wouldn't say to their face if they would sit down and listen. So am I right?
That's right.
Am I right? Oh my God. Do you know that I've only had 3 birthday parties in my entire life?
I had 2. You win.
Well, good. I had what, and one of them didn't really count. What happened was is that when I was 5, and the only reason I count this as a birthday party is a bunch of kids from the neighborhood came over when I was 5, and Mom gave us Coke floats, and she made them with chocolate ice cream. Don't make Coke floats with chocolate ice cream; they're not good. But one of the boys brought me a bracelet that I had for years, and it was so cool because it was made out of sterling silver, but it had fake little turquoise balls attached to the little figures, and the figures were cowboys and cowgirls.
How cute.
It was adorable. So that was the first one I counted. And then I had a birthday party in my 20s, and I was dating a guy in Houston, and he came up, and we took a big group of people to Six Flags for the day. And then we all got sweets at the Anatole, and we went dancing at the Anatole. My computer keeps flashing icons at me. And then had a party until the middle of the night and stayed at the Anatole. And then my lovely husband gave me a 50th surprise birthday party.
Ah,
So, but I
that's
just
great.
think that's odd. How many people don't have like birthday parties? You and me. What's the deal?
I had one when I was 5.
See?
That was or it may have been 6. I think I was 5. And I had this great pinata that it was a pink elephant.
Oh,
And that was fun. And I remember that. And let's see, what was the other thing?
you had 2, you said.
Oh, I was 16. And it was kind of a, hey, I'm turning 16, I want to have a party type thing. And that was when we all had those cute little psychedelic dresses, those A-line dresses that had
Yeah,
all
yeah,
kinds of crazy things on it.
yeah.
That was fun.
Do you know how many birthday parties though I have hosted for other people? It's got to be close to 100. I'm not kidding you, close to 100.
Wow.
You know? You know why?
Why is that?
I love cake.
Uh, Deborah, you can have cake without birthday parties.
It doesn't seem like it's the same.
Oh,
I
okay.
love bakery cake. I like a good bakery cake with a nice buttercream frosting, you know. I
Mm-hmm.
love it. And if I'm going to get a homemade cake, I want yellow cake with chocolate fudge icing or
Okay.
frosting, buttercream, not frosting. So I don't know. I'm a fun person. I just don't get to do it enough. I'm a fun person, y'all. I mean it.
Fun. Mm.
You should have seen me at toga parties. I was great at toga parties. Did you ever go to a toga party?
No.
Well, here's the key to a good toga party. You get really hot because you've been drinking. The toga comes off, you go in the pool. The toga has to come off because if you don't, it will get so wet, it will drag you down to the bottom of the pool. That's the key to a good toga party.
So you skinny dipped.
Well, I wasn't very skinny, so I wouldn't call it that. I went moon bathing because I was glittering in the moonlight. But so was everybody else. It wasn't like I was doing it alone. She just looks at me like she's like some virgin or something. What are you talking about?
Hey, most of my escapades happened after I was 23, so
I'm sorry.
yeah, no.
I'm so sorry. You should have known me. I had a good time. I had a real good time. So,
I was conflicted.
about what? Having a good time or not having a good time?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm.
Sometimes I would have a good time and then go home and say, I'm not done, and put my clothes back on and go back out and have a more good time at the same in the same night. Now read between the lines there on that one.
I have no response. I have no response.
Uh, I
I
had I had dinner last night with a friend of mine that I've known longer than Scott and I've been married. And she's got a new boyfriend. And
How
we
did
got
that
to
go?
talking. It went really well. He was nice. I kind of freaked out at first when he walked into the restaurant because he looked just like a friend of mine that died several years ago that I was real close to. So I kind of had to catch my breath. I mean, because he could have been like his brother. They look so much alike. So that kind of got me off guard a little bit. But so she and I got to talking about our past. And as we were talking, I realized there were things that we used to do she hadn't told him about.
Oops. Oops.
He got an education, but I think it made her more attractive to him as the night went on. Not that he's not attracted to her. He's very enthralled with her. But I think that just upped the ante a little bit. So it was fun.
So he was probably listening intently, wanting to know if you knew anything else.
Probably, but he'll have to call and ask if he wants to know.
might
But
want-
we are talking about maybe doing like a trip together, all four of us going out on a weekend trip or something. So,
That would be fun.
and if he buys me plenty of liquor, I'll tell him anything he wants to know.
I think you should consult your friend first.
No,
No. Okay.
because here, now let me tell you what this thing's very interesting. Because you know what, one of the questions was that he asked me, and I was impressed and I was intrigued both. So he says, you and Amy have been friends a really good time, a long time. Okay. What do you love about her? What do you like about her the most? And I like that question. But the reason I brought that up is that my answer is her unconditional love. No matter how much I piss her off, no matter how much I aggravate her, she always accepts it. She always loves me. She always understands that there's no ill will or bad intent there and that I'm just a nut. So
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
you could learn a lot from her. No. I almost choked myself. No, Luann accepts me as I am way, way more than most people. You know, what's weird is that in business, I am very professional and very analytical and focused. I look a little crazy today. Look at my eyes and all this stuff. But it's a choice, and it's something I've learned to do because as a private investigator, you can't show your emotions. If you do show emotions, what you're doing is you're reflecting back to the person so that you're building rapport. You got to be very controlled and not controlling. There's a difference, but very controlled in your environment so you can respond appropriately to move the conversation along. And I am such the opposite naturally as a person. It's just bizarre. It's really bizarre. And as I've gotten older, I have decided I don't want to be analytical and controlled in my conversations. I want to say whatever comes out of my mouth and let the chips fall where they may. Doing a good job, aren't I?
Yes. That's what you do personally, and not professionally.
No, personally.
Personally, yes.
So that's one of the reasons why I enjoy this podcast so much. That I just let it fly.
And it's
right?
okay.
Right?
Right.
Okay. All right.
I-
So
I-
have we what?
No.
No. Have we worn this subject out?
Probably because people don't not even know what we're talking about anymore.
Well, we do. That's all that matters. Screw it.
Okay.
All right. Well, we send good wishes. And I saw something interesting on the show the other day. Let me tell you this real quick. Have you watched the series Bridgerton, which is about the time period when Queen Charlotte was in realm, and there's a lot of controversy about Queen Charlotte in England actually possibly being black or of black descent, and so they've kind of taken that and run with the storyline. So there's Bridgerton, and then they have a series off of that now called Queen Charlotte, and they do something now when someone's like dies or whatever. The saying, we go, "I'm sorry for your loss," in trying to be compassionate. There you go, sorrows and prayers, sorrows and prayers, sorrows and prayers.
Okay.
I thought, what a bizarre thing.
Well, they are English, so, sometimes they can be bizarre.
Do you think they're really as impassionate as the media makes them seem? Because the people I know from England are very stubborn and passionate both.
I think they play off the fact that the royals are,
Mm.
and probably as I always got that vibe from Queen Elizabeth, that the um, that she only said what needed to be said publicly as it pertained to the country. In other
Yeah, but
words,
don't you think it was her job? And I mean,
yes,
yeah, I just think she did her job really well. I don't think we really saw who she ever was.
I don't think so either.
You kind of locked up.
But I
I can
think that's
hear you,
where it
but your
comes
picture's
from.
not moving.
My picture's not moving.
Now it is. Kind of. Now you just look drunk.
Okay, so yeah, I think a lot of that comes from her being so stoic as the queen.
Yeah. She certainly didn't want to give up that throne, did she?
No,
I think I would have turned that over to Charles years ago, and I've been out there kicking out my heels in the Bahamas drinking. So I don't know why she held on.
I don't know. She felt it was her duty and her obligation to her father.
I think she did it because she knew Charles was going to screw it up, or she thought he was going to screw it up.
Yes, but you know as well as I do, there comes a point where you got to go let it go. And
Yeah.
if they screw it up, they screw it up.
Yep. I agree. And that's what I'm doing. I'm letting go to a lot of crap. I'm letting go of a lot of crap. And
Yeah.
because going back to that control thing, I don't have control, but I have a ton of responsibility and I'm tired of it. And I'm letting go of the responsibility. May's fixing to kick up her heels. That's what my granddaughter calls me, May. You know why? Do you know why?
Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't know. Why?
No, I always do. No. No, because when she was born, I told her mom, I said, I always wanted to be the kind of grandmother like Annie Mame and, Rosalind Russell. Now, Patrick, here's a pen and paper, write down all the words you don't know and we'll discuss them. And she traveled with him and she exposed him to all kinds of culture and diversity and stuff and things like that. And that was what I wanted to be as a grandmother. I wanted to show the world, the kids, the world and what was out there and help them to explore it. And so she goes, well, we can't call you Mame. That doesn't sound right. So she came up with May. She thought May was appropriate. So
Okay.
I dug it.
All right. I was so fond of my grandma. I said, John says, what do you want to be called? And I said, Grandma.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I want.
I like
I,
grandma. And I had a Mimi and a grandma.
yeah, Luke's other grandmother is Mimi.
Yeah, I like that. But they just didn't seem to suit me. They just, and I didn't have a preference, but they just didn't seem right to me. And I just thought Mrs. Rose was just too formal. So
Yeah.
Mrs. Rose, may I please have a cookie?
Ooh.
All right. Well, tell everybody where they can find you besides here.
Herbal.com. That's ATRBAL-LU.com. God knows where my website will be in 6 months. Somebody keeps telling me they're going to redo it.
I'm gonna be the same domain. It just will look different. Get over yourself. Lord.
And herballu1105@gmail.com.
And let me tell you what's going to happen. I do look crazy today. What is wrong with me? Look, here's the deal. We're going to do a new serum, or she's going to do a new serum. I researched what I thought would work, and she's going to mix it up like the witch that she is. I do look crazy. And then I'm going to try it, and I'm going to take pictures once a week. And we're going to do that for what, maybe 2 months?
Maybe. Most of my friends are my guinea pigs when I make something new. I say, here,
What does a
try
guinea pig
this.
look like? What does a guinea pig sound like? No,
I
that's a
don't,
real pig. I'm a razorback. You want to hear me call the razorbacks?
no, I don't want to hear the razorback.
Pig, Stewie.
Okay, no, we're off subject. Let's go now.
Okay, whatever. All right. So I'm Deborah Colleen Rose, Miles of Smiles Entertainment. If you need entertainment for your parties, we really are fun and to have, whether you like the podcast or not. Private Investigations, Investigative Solutions Group. So you can contact us there as well. And we are talking. Watch out.
Yeah, watch out. You never know.
We just came up with our clothes. That's good. All right. We'll see y'all soon.
Bye.
Okay.